Everyone, this is Michael DeSilva for Wednesday night. It's our news and everything you can use, news updates. Please subscribe down below. It's important that you do so at this time. And also, if you'd like to send a donation to us or a love offering, a weekly love offering of $1 or more, you can PM me, personal message me up on Facebook. Hit me up and I can give you the information to give you a physical address where you can make your love offering or your donation to us, since we New Hunter Church of Christ and also a Christian independent news platform. We do depend on your support because nothing is free. However, everything does have a price with it, and so we ask you as patrons that listen to us to do your part to help us in that regard with this ministry, okay? In spite of what everybody says, because they don't know half of what I do, and therefore they have no room or any means of any way to comment. So if you like what you see, please help. And don't give in to the sarcasms or the stereotypes, and what people do, or the excuse makers because they don't want to give any money. It's important because everything requires money. Everything does. It's a service, and it's not free. However, the content's free, but remember, it always has a price. And to make it more better is your love offerings and donations are what do that. Just like the Sunday morning messages that you hear on here from our church, New Hunter Church of Christ online ministries. That's also another thing too. I want to say, how was your week? I hope it went well, pretty good. I hope everything's going good with you. We had some thunderstorms around the area last night. We got hit with one here where I live. Also, Stewart got out of the hospital. I don't know how, but he got out of the hospital last night. And he knows where my mother lives because it was on the paper. And I don't know why those dummies put her address and everything on the paper for him to see it. But for some reason, he got that paper and he knows where she lives now. So that's not good news at all, to say the least. So he'll probably be going over there now because he knows exactly where she lives, because those goofballs there at the hospital screwed up. And they allowed him to see information that should not have been on that paper for him to see where she lives. So anyway, but now he knows where she lives now. It's just what happens. But he's out. He's been out since last night, evidently. I could have sworn I heard a pickup truck riding around through here really fast last night. I wasn't sure if it was him, but it sounded sort of like his truck. But like I said, but I don't know. But it was somebody riding around out here real loud last night through here. And then this morning somebody was knocking on the doors, and the police were out here this morning. I woke up and I was out in the kitchen getting a drink of water, and I looked out there through the blinds and I could see a cop car pulled behind the apartment where I live. And no, they weren't out here for me. No, they were out here for something else, but they were out here for something. Apparently somebody was going around knocking on people's doors around 8 or 9 o'clock this morning, and I think that's what prompted the police to come out here. But then again, it could have been something going on with one of the neighbors, because there's been somebody out here beating up on a particular woman in a particular building, and she's too scared to go to the police and report him. But he should be reported, because he should be arrested, because he shouldn't be beating up on a woman. Nobody should be doing that. But anyway, domestic violence is, but a lot of them are just too scared to report it because they're scared of what they might get happening to them. But they shouldn't be scared about that. They should return those people in, because the more you let somebody beat up on you like that, the easier it gets always, every time, ladies. And if it's a guy and a woman's doing that to you, beating up on you physically, you need to report them too, because it makes it easier for them to attack you and hit you the next time, because all you're doing is enabling them to keep hitting you. That's really what you're doing if you get beaten up, in a domestic situation. That's why you want to report them, so that will stop. Because believe me, there is a way out. You got to get out. You got to reach outside of your fear. And I call it the fear factor, and you got to grab onto the hope and the inner strength of, you belong to the Lord Jesus Christ. You have Jesus Christ as hope, and He's your way out. And a lot of people forget that they belong to something that's far more greater than anything in this world. That goes beyond this world, because He is the universal God over everything. Lord Jesus Christ, and that's who we have to rely on to help us get us out of domestic violence, or get us out of chronic situations, or traumatic situations that happen in our life, or mental situations, or any kind of situation that stems from abuse of any kind. We have to realize that we can get out of it and reach out and grab onto Jesus Christ, and He can pull us out and pull us through it. And He is the way out. But we have to realize that we have to rise above our fear, because fear is a liar. like that song. Fear is a liar, because it is. The devil puts you traps a lot of people in fear, so they figure they're helpless, so they have to be subjected to abuse, sexual, physical, mental, or all the above, or physical abuse. And really, that's just not the case. It's just a cop out. But Christ is really the true way out of all those situations. But you have to realize you realize that first, and then have the inner strength to grab hold of Jesus, and he can pull you out of that situation. And with the help of having a support system in place, which would consist of church friends, good friends that you can trust, and people that you may know in the community where you live, and even family members are a great support system too as well. So don't never discount that, as always. If you're a survivor of domestic violence situation, or a victim of addictive behaviors like pornography or alcohol or drugs or anything of that nature. So just be aware that you do have other options. You're not trapped. That's just a lie, because the guy or the girl who's abusing you physically, mentally, or sexually, or whatever, will tell you things to keep you trapped like a predator, and they'll make you feel helpless, so you feel like you're hopeless, so you have no hope, because you lose that hope, because they take that away by manipulating you and making you degraded to make you feel like you have no way out, and then you feel trapped and isolated, when really there is a way out, because you just got to stop listening to their sick stuff to try to control you, and realize there is a way, because you can get out through Christ and through friends and family that you can have help you through it. And if you're in that situation, that's what you have to always remember, folks. So anyway, another day in Washington, North Carolina. Ben came over here today, my neighbor, and also lots of weird things going on with censorship. Lots of weird things going on, and lots of people trying to censor all types of groups. Independent news media, they are doing the purge. They really are, and. It's illegal what they're doing. It's treasonous, because it goes against freedom of speech, and even it's online, they have no right. As a matter of fact, Facebook is in bed with, in bed means partnering with Mount Santo, which now has made an acquisition, business acquisition, has been bought out by Bayer. So now the company name, like I told you, was going to change to Bayer. Well, it's already changed. Now they're the same people that put their pesticide in food, in certain foods that grow in the garden, like corn. They use a pesticide that is very harmful, and many people have sued this company when it was the former name of Mount Santo, but now it's called Bayer. So if you sue them, you have to say Bayer now, because that's their new name. Since there has been a transfer and an acquisition, now their name is Bayer. Dealing with that kind of stuff. They deal with farming and all. Roundup. That's the thing I was talking about. I said a company, but their Roundup, they claim is safe, but yet it's killed lots of people and has caused many illnesses, asthma, circulatory, respiratory illnesses, and disorders and fatigue. And it's all because of the chemicals that are found and have been cited in Roundup, the pesticide that is on shelves and still is on shelves that people can buy residentially, or what people can buy for farming for commercial use. So, and this is stuff they're also engineering genetically to put in fruits and vegetables, so they will be resistant to bugs and other pests. And that's what we eat, which is what we're eating, which is actually what we're ingesting. So that's why it's important to buy organic fruits and vegetables, not the ones that have been genetically modified, because the chances are they have Roundup in them, or have something in them which is not good for the body. God, when he created the world, as I always say, and will continue to say this until I draw my last breath, when he created the world, he made everything in a natural state, an organic state. And why, for the love of God, would anybody want to mess with that? I don't know. Well, one reason, the main reason always, is follow the trail of the money. The trail of the money is where it is. Why censorship is happening on Facebook and through Google and YouTube. Google is owned by YouTube, in case you don't know that. And why they're doing it is it's not a mystery. It's because they're doing it because they are trying to control what people say, because they don't want certain groups to have a voice. Why they allow other people, like the Antifa, to go after and to attack people because of what they believe and because they're a Trump supporter, and They attack people for their religious views, and it's just crazy because they're just going on useless talking points. They really don't have really a real reason to be fighting with people at all. They're just mad over. There's just a bunch of college snowflake kids that are just statistical, and they all got mad because Clinton didn't win, and they're just Clinton supporters, and those are the ones that mainly causing all the trouble and all the protests and all the rowdiness and all the disorders at all the functions that go on across the country and around the world. I mean, I saw a video today that was from Dabu7's channel, and he's a real good reporter, and he's a friend of mine, and he's a fellow analyst, a news analyst, journalist, just like me. And I wanted to tell you that, I saw people in Thailand, thanks to a video that was sent to him, where they were showing how they were stealing people's luggage, that they weren't just regular people stealing it. No, these were refugees or immigrants that were stealing luggage as they were on the terminals and on buses, just going on there and just taking them off there, stealing actually people's luggage that didn't belong to them. So that goes to show you how bad things are getting abroad, just like they're starting to get here in America and everywhere else, because we're allowing all these refugees to come in here, immigrants that don't belong here. I mean, that's why countries have borders. Not only that, diseases are on the rise. We have all these illnesses that doctors and diseases and other weird infections that doctors cannot treat. I mean, we got this rash, they do believe is systemic from poison ivy groves that have burned out there in California, where they have catched on fire, and people that are in some areas have caught a real bad rash of poison ivy or something variation of it. And that's where they think these mystery rashes are being traced to, is actually wild patches of poison ivy that actually was in the air. Because once the stuff burns, if it gets on you, it can actually get you, just like if you touched it. If you happen to be around where the fire is and it's burning, you can actually catch it because it drifts through the air. The powder drifts through the air as it burns. So it can get on you just like that, and that's how they're getting these rashes. And some people say it may be linked to the chemtrails, the chemicals up in the sky. I mean, it could be a mixture of all that, because they're putting all kinds of cocktails of chemicals up there that we don't know about to control the weather or to steer weather systems away from certain areas on the globe. And who knows what they're doing. They try to cool down the earth with the sun shield that's up there around the sun. That's why it's no longer yellow and it looks white looking. I mean, that's not imagination. I remember when I looked at the sun just a little bit when I was a boy, it was yellow. But it looks white now. To me, it's white. It's not yellow anymore. It's white. Some people think it's a digital sun. I said, no, it's not a digital sun. That's the real sun. It's just they got something up there that they're spraying up there around it. Where in the path in the area right where the sun is, they're always spraying stuff around it to try to bounce most of those rays back out into space and away from the Earth as an effort to cool the Earth down. And I remember them talking about this about 20-some years ago in papers that they were going to try to start doing this in the middle to late 2000s. As a matter of fact, they were trying. Bill Gates and Joe Sarnos and other bigwig people, just to name a few of those crazy people that are behind all this crazy stuff, because they think they're trying to cool the Earth down and do a favor, and they think that because they're smart and they know things, they think that they trust these people because they pay exuberant amounts of money to do this research and these wild, chaotic experiments. I remember just a couple of years ago, they shot off like 20-some atomic bombs in the radiation belt that's on the equator, the radiational belt, and they tried to destroy that to try to release the radiation that's there. It did do some damage, but it did not destroy the radius belt that's out there near the equator, up in the atmosphere. But they tried to destroy it, but they weren't successful. But they did let off a lot of hydrogen bombs there, which is really strange. But that happened just 2 or 3 years ago. This is some of the crazy experiments that these big wigs, Bill Gates, Joe Sarnos, and whoever else that has lots of money is behind doing these crazy evil things. And they claim it's for the betterment of humanity. I think it's really for the extinction of humanity, not for the betterment, like they claim. But and then Trump went on. President Putin, Russia president, they met in Thailand. Over there, they met in Thailand for the summit that they had on Monday, and they said a lot of good, interesting things on that debate. I talked about a little bit of that in my last video, but they said some things, interesting things in there. And I thought what they said was right on, and I already knew that Putin and his government was not behind any of these any of these inclusions, they want to keep saying that Trump hired people. Well, really was Hillary that hired people that were, working for her to break into these servers to try to tamper with the elections. And the only one that was doing the colluding was Hillary Clinton, because that was admitted. And she hired people to do that. And that was already admitted by a Russian spy. And that's what they reported, said that's what Hillary was doing. And they weren't Russians. They were actually people that were here in the government doing it because Hillary was paying them to do it here internally. It wasn't Russia, and they figured they would pin the tail on Russia to try to blame it just to stir things up. And I think that's why they did this and why they keep trying to throw up, oh, it's Russia inclusion. Trump's has inclusion with Russia, with this Russia probe and everything. They spent billions of dollars on this stuff, and he's still innocent. He has not done that. He was not colluding with Russia president or with anybody over there. But they still keep trying to say that Trump and his son had some kind of dealings with Russia, which is so crazy in itself, because it's not even true at all, to say the least. But these nuts keep saying this stuff, And it's just a crazy runaway train is what I call it, or a dead horse, because they keep saying Russia collusion every time they see Trump. Russia collusion. He's including with Russia. Conclude to, of course, it's not even true. I mean, even the FBI at first said that, but then some people with pressure and probably were paid large sums of money, then all of a sudden they changed their stance, and now they're saying there's conclusion. And now they're trying to do damage control in Washington because of some of the things that Trump said, like he's a bad boy and he don't know anything, like he's stupid. And he's not stupid. He knows what he said, and he didn't do anything wrong and didn't go out of line. He was saying things right on. It's just there are people that have been bought out, that various people that work with Trump. He might have to fire some people and rehire different people that have that vision where they share in the vision that Trump has, in his mission on how to turn this country around. Apparently, he might do a lot of massive firing and rehiring in the intelligence community, possibly, because the president has those powers that can do that. He can fire people in the FBI, fire people in the Secret Service, or anybody in any branch of government, because the president has that judicial type of powers, according to the Constitution, and he can do that if needed, if necessary. So, I think there's probably going to be some firing going on, because all these people are saying he did damage control, and Trump made this country look weak when he was saying the things on TV to Putin, and that was not true. I didn't see where he made the country look weak or made the country look like a coward in front of the world. Like Al Schwarzenegger, that's stupid. He even said that Trump looked like a wet noodle. I mean, that's so stupid. I mean, I don't even know where that's funny or how that's funny or how that looks funny, because Trump didn't look like a wet noodle or look like anything. He looked like he was right on and poised like he always is, and just said what he feels. And that might be a little more not standard like what most presidents do, but he didn't do anything out of place or did not make the country look weak or make the country look any different at all. He was just saying the truth, that Russia president, Putin, Mr. Putin didn't have nothing to do with it or any men. As a matter of fact, Mr. Putin said that he would assist in the investigation with the FBI or any branches of service that are conducting this, or any branches of people that are conducting this. And, he said that he would really, insist them any way they can. So, that really tells you a lot right there. So it's just so important that, that people get this story straight, and that there's a lot of people that haven't been bought out, and a lot of people just don't understand what's going on here. But I mean, you need to wake up, because there's a lot of people that are telling a lot of lies. And, I don't understand why people have to resort to this low of the demonization to try to turn things around and flip them around. It's like a lot what went on there where I lived with my situation. But anyway, this is in the news update. Keep it right here.